Everybody knows Shrek. The giant green ogre with the Scottish accent, the talking donkey, the swamp, and the non-stop jokes helped turn the movie into one of the biggest animated franchises ever made. But behind the scenes, the story of Shrek was even crazier than the movie itself. From casting disasters and massive rewrites to strange production decisions and unexpected actors almost playing the role, the making of Shrek was filled with surprising twists that most fans still don't know about today. And honestly, without a few lucky breaks, Shrek might never have existed at all. So today, we're diving deep into the biggest secrets behind the making of Shrek. Before we get into the secrets, if you enjoy celebrity and entertainment deep dives like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Fashion and Beauty so you don't miss any new uploads. Now, let's start with where it all began. Believe it or not, Shrek originally came from a small children's book called Shrek. The story completely flipped traditional fairy tale ideas upside down. Instead of a handsome prince saving the day, the hero was a smelly ogre who didn't care what anyone thought about him. That unusual idea caught the attention of producer John Williams after his children fell in love with the book. Eventually, the project made its way to DreamWorks, where studio executive Jeffrey Katzenberg saw huge potential in turning the strange little story into a full animated movie. At the time, nobody realized the film would eventually become a global phenomenon worth billions. One of the biggest secrets about Shrek is that Mike Myers was not the original voice actor. That role first belonged to legendary comedian Chris Farley. In fact, Farley had reportedly recorded most of the movie before his tragic death in 1997. After losing him, the entire production struggled emotionally and creatively. The filmmakers later admitted they felt completely lost for a long time. The project itself nearly fell apart. Then Mike Myers joined the film and helped completely reshape the character. And that changed everything. At first, Mike Myers tried different voices for Shrek. One version sounded closer to his natural Canadian accent. Another was inspired by one of his comedy sketches. But eventually, he made a bold decision that transformed the character forever. He gave Shrek a thick Scottish accent. The studio actually spent millions re-recording dialogue after Myers changed the voice direction. But the risk paid off. That accent became one of the most iconic parts of the character and helped make Shrek feel funny, emotional, awkward, and lovable all at once. The performance gave the movie a unique identity that audiences instantly connected with. Most people don't realize that early versions of Shrek were much darker and stranger. Originally, the movie was supposed to use motion capture technology instead of the computer animation style we know today. There were even actors wearing large costumes while performing scenes. Some early test footage reportedly looked awkward and messy. The studio quickly realized the original approach simply wasn't working. At the same time, the overall tone of the movie felt too dark. The filmmakers worried audiences wouldn't connect with it. So DreamWorks decided to completely redesign the movie into something brighter, funnier, and more colorful. That creative shift ended up saving the entire project. As the redesign continued, the creators developed the world of Duloc and Lord Farquaad. The clean streets, perfect buildings, and forced happiness were intentionally exaggerated to feel artificial and over-controlled. The result looked strangely similar to giant theme parks. And instead of avoiding that comparison, DreamWorks leaned into it even harder. That over-the-top fairy tale world became one of the funniest visual jokes in the movie. It perfectly balanced fantasy with satire in a way audiences had never really seen before in animation. Another surprising secret? Nicolas Cage was once offered the role of Shrek, but he turned it down. Years later, Cage explained that he worried about how children would see him if he voiced an ogre character. He didn't want younger audiences to connect his image with something scary or ugly. Instead, he later chose family-friendly animated roles that felt warmer and softer. Looking back now, it's hard to imagine anyone other than Mike Myers playing Shrek. The casting changes didn't stop there. Before Cameron Diaz became Princess Fiona, another actress had originally been cast. That actress was Janeane Garofalo. However, she was eventually replaced during production. No official explanation was ever fully confirmed publicly. But once Cameron Diaz joined the movie, her chemistry with the rest of the cast helped define the final version audiences know today. One of the funniest moments in the entire movie came from a random burst of inspiration. Storyboard artist Conrad Vernon was trying to create a memorable interrogation scene involving the Gingerbread Man. While thinking about ideas, he remembered an old children's record featuring nursery rhyme songs. That inspired him to imagine the Gingerbread Man being questioned dramatically like a crime movie suspect. The filmmakers loved the idea immediately. And eventually, Vernon himself ended up voicing the character because producers couldn't find anyone they liked more. The scene became one of the most quoted moments in the franchise. The famous opening scene with Shrek in the bathroom immediately told audiences this wasn't a traditional fairy tale movie. That humor style became a huge part of Shrek's identity. The creators realized people loved the ridiculous jokes, awkward moments, and unexpected comedy. Instead of making a simple children's movie, the team focused on creating something adults could enjoy too. That balance helped Shrek stand out from almost every animated movie released at the time. Parents, teenagers, and kids could all laugh at completely different jokes in the same scene. To make Shrek's swamp feel realistic, some members of the production team went surprisingly far with their research. Developers reportedly experimented with mud baths to understand how mud behaved on skin and movement. Artists also traveled to real locations filled with swamps, trees, and wildlife to capture the atmosphere they wanted for the movie. That attention to detail helped the world of Shrek feel alive and believable despite being a fantasy setting. The success of Shrek completely transformed DreamWorks animation. Without Shrek, many famous animated franchises might never have happened. Movies like Madagascar, Kung Fu Panda, How to Train Your Dragon all followed the path that Shrek created. The movie proved animated films could be sarcastic, emotional, modern, and wildly funny at the same time. It also showed that audiences wanted animated movies with personality and attitude. Financially, Shrek became one of the most important projects in DreamWorks history. The franchise helped establish the company as a true competitor in the animation industry. More than 20 years later, Shrek is still one of the most recognizable animated movies ever made. But what makes its story even more incredible is how close the project came to failure multiple times. From losing its original star to rebuilding the animation style from scratch, the movie survived challenge after challenge before becoming a cultural phenomenon. And maybe that's what makes Shrek so special. Underneath all the jokes, memes, and chaos, it's really a story about accepting imperfections, being different, and finding confidence in who you are. Which is probably why audiences still connect with it decades later.